Hello, everyone. This is Peter Weiler. I am your host today for DVMUG's Zoom meeting for July 16th, 2024. Welcome, and I hope we have a good meeting. We will start off in the usual format with a little bit of news from the Apple world and then move on to some videos. In keeping with recent events, we're attempting to compress this portion of the meeting to allow more question and answer time and more social time afterward. So I've timed things out. What I have to present the videos will run about half an hour if we do all of them, and we could always cut back. But let's get to the news now. As usual, you will find this PDF of the news for this meeting. There are 3 items listed, and there are links which will take you directly to the articles. You can get these on the BBS of DVMUG, and I hope all of you are members of DVMUG and access the BBS. At any rate, let's take a look at this first one. For those of you who might not know, today is Amazon Prime Day, July 16th. In fact, they're stretching it from July 16th through July 17th. And there are a lot of excellent deals that you can get on all things Apple. The article that I have picked out focuses on the MacBooks, the MacBook Airs and the MacBook Pros. And what is really significant is they are at all-time low prices for new machines. So there are, as I say here, plenty of Apple Prime Day discounts, and check online, you'll find them. But if you're in the market of thinking about updating your laptop, these are great deals on the Air and Pro versions of the MacBook. Not just the kind of discounted M1 devices, the older ones, which you can get at discounts most anytime, but this is focusing on M2 laptops and even the recent M3 Pros.
I posted a list on the BBS this morning on the webpage. There's almost every single thing that Apple is selling is discounted on Amazon.
Right. Now, if you go to Apple, you're not likely to see these discounts,
No, it's
but
only on Amazon.
on Amazon. And here are some examples for the MacBook Airs, the M2 and M3 13-inch. You can get $200 off of the Apple price. That's a good hunk. And the 15-inch M3 as well. Now, the MacBook Pros, the M3s, the 14-inch is a $300 discount, and the 16-inch is a $500 discount. So they haven't discounted at this rate in the past. If anybody's interested, let us know. Go check it out.
Peter, a question on that MacBook Air. What's the storage on it?
I'm not in a position.
Minimal storage and only 8 gigs of RAM?
Base 256 gig.
I imagine these are base machines. The specific standards for each machine is listed in the deal, but you'd need to go to Amazon to get that.
So you're going to probably need to add $400 to that if you want to go to 512 and 16 gigs of RAM.
Right.
Well, I imagine so. And yet, what would that compare with a comparable machine bought at Apple? I have a hunch it would still be quite a savings.
Perhaps, yeah.
Yeah. Speculation.
So some of the shopping sites have been saying they're listing Prime Day deals said that generally for tech, there's some good bargains, but that they're generally not as good as you can expect to find for Black Friday. So there's that.
Mm-hmm. Right. Black Friday.
And if that's so, I don't know if it's so.
Right. Kenji, when is Black Friday going to be?
It's always the day after Thanksgiving.
There you go. Okay. Moving on. So there really wasn't much news I could dig up out there, but there was one piece which related to a security flaw in ChatGPT. Now, Apple, with their AI software, which they're developing, Apple Intelligence, they are looking into partnering with ChatGPT. What was discovered last week was that ChatGPT was bypassing Apple's security policies. They were allowing your queries to be stored unencrypted within the app and in plain text. So this caused some real concern, and the issue has been patched. But it brings up the issue of what's going on with Apple Intelligence. And I need to do a little, yeah, there we go. Nope. I'm sorry. I'm having a problem seeing my screen here. What's going on is that in order to catch up with some of the big players, Apple is looking out to some other businesses to help them get their Apple Intelligence online. But quality assurance of the form that we're used to with Apple is likely to be compromised. And what Apple says is that, well, it's really okay because what we're going to do is have an opt-in opportunity. So if you want to use this, you will click. And what the David Price of Macworld, who wrote this article, had to say was, he said, tap here to gullibly cough up your personal data, which is a possibility, although it has been patched temporarily. When AI is being used in this way, the model is that they go out and they scrape together all kinds of data to build this large language model. And if you want it to work right, you can't be squeamish. As David said, either you rummage in the dirt yourself or you outsource the work to people whose hands are not the cleanest in the ethical sense. So it is a conundrum. Apple wants to get into AI with Apple Intelligence, but it might have to compromise some of its standards.
So last night at Silicon Valley Mac User Group, there was a presentation on Apple Intelligence that was pretty deep and detailed, and it was recorded. So the recording will be up on their website. And the person who was doing it was explaining that Apple Intelligence will do most of your queries on machine, not go to the cloud at all. That it'll be relatively rare when a query is deep enough that it'll go to Apple's AI servers, cloud servers for processing, and it will, which is not OpenAI, it's still Apple. And that if it does feel the need to go out to to another service like ChatGPT, you'll be asked for permission on each time that it's suggesting doing that and asking you for permission. So that gave me a fair amount of assurance that that they're thinking this through pretty deeply.
Well, and I hope so, Kenji.
I hope so too.
Yeah, that's one of the pieces to the Apple platform that we, have gotten used to and pretty much depend on, and that our privacy is important.
Didn't they also indicate that if you are going to go out to the third party, you're going to be asked and you must reply yes or no?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Right. But that's when you might
Oh,
incur
go
some
out and be
vulnerability.
open.
Yeah. That might be the choice, because if you really want to take advantage of the incredible strength of this AI technology, then you're opening yourself up to that kind of scraping of data in a huge way.
Mhm.
But Apple says that their own cloud servers will not retain any data from your query after it processes it, and that their contractual agreement with OpenAI and others is that they won't either.
And we hope that
But they
happens.
did, but they found out that they did. And that's the thing.
No, they found out that it wasn't being encrypted,
Right,
Yes.
which is supposed to be.
that they could.
It's found out they're not to be trusted.
Well, I don't know if we can go that far though to say that. I mean, Zoom
Well,
was full of vulnerabilities early on that they've tightened up greatly.
Yeah. I think, and I don't know if I understand it completely, but the choice is, if you encrypt, you're not going to be able to make this model that they have, which crowdsources the data. Your data won't be included in it, so it creates a
No,
limitation.
well, I think what they're talking about is that somebody can't snoop or sniff your personal information by somehow watching what you're doing, just like this Zoom call is encrypted, end-to-end encrypted, so that's what the green shield up in the top right corner is telling us, that is end-to-end encrypted. If somebody were to join this meeting with a regular phone connection, that would turn yellow, which means that it's not fully encrypted because somebody has an unencrypted connection, because the dial-in connection can't be encrypted.
Okay, well, obviously we'll be learning more about this as.
Just one more thing. There's a certain amount of trust involved in this, obviously. And whenever you're giving,
Guys,
consider,
we're still in the news. We're taking all
Okay.
this time just for chit chat.
well,
Sorry, but
Well, okay, well, there'll be time later on in the meeting if we
Okay.
want to return to this particular question. So moving on. Okay, this is an article that was written in Tidbits by Adam Engst. Apple explains how to identify social engineering attacks. And what Engst had to say is exactly what you see there. Apple has updated a support document with helpful advice about how to identify and report social engineering attacks, such as phishing messages, phony support calls, and more. Share it widely. The link down below will get directly to this document. And I was impressed with just how long and thorough and how many links there were within the document. And I didn't know how to actually show that to you, so I'm going to experiment with a little screenshot of me scrolling through it, which might make you sick if you watch it, so you don't have to. But this is the full article, and you can see the blue links as they go by. There is a lot of information there, and if you are concerned about social engineering and scams and so forth, this is about as thorough a piece as you can get now.
Yeah, now I put that on the BBS this morning also.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Okay. Any comments? Well,
We could probably do a whole meeting about that article by going through it, talking about each item.
That could be a good meeting.
Yeah, that might be a good idea.
Okay, well, let's move on to the videos then. Here is the slide that you'll find on the BBS with the links. And if things drag a little too much, we can cut it short. Well, let's start with Gary Rosenzweig of MacMost. And here we go.
Hi, this is Gary with MacMost.com. Let me show you how you can copy text even when you can't select text on your Mac. MacMost is brought to you thanks to a great group of more than 2,000 supporters. Go to MacMost.com/Patreon. There, you could read more about it, join us, and get exclusive content and course discounts. Now, usually when you want to copy text from something on your Mac, you simply select the text, copy, and then you've got it and you can paste it somewhere else. But every once in a while, you can't select text. For instance, you may be looking at an image, not a text document, and you can't select the text on the image. But let me show you several ways that you can get around this. So as an example here, let's say I've got an image on the web. So it's an image, not text. Text you can usually easily select and copy, but not so in the case of an image. So the first thing I want to show you is that sometimes you can select text even though it's an image. This is thanks to a feature in macOS called Live Text. Live Text will look at images or look at them in quick look.
Excuse me, were people seeing advertisements on that video? Is anybody even hearing me?
Yes. There
Yeah,
was something in the frame that didn't seem to relate.
yeah, I've never seen that before. I don't know what's going on. I'm sorry I interrupted the recording. Let's go ahead and move on, and we can go back to Gary if there's time later, okay? So this is Apple on how to delete an app on the Mac.
Want to free up some space on your Mac? It's easy to delete apps you no longer use. Here's how. First, we'll need to move the app you'd like to delete to the trash. To do that, open Applications in the Finder and click the app you'd like to remove. Now, click the File menu and choose Move to Trash. If you're asked for a username and password, authenticate with Touch ID, or enter the name and password for an administrator account on your Mac. Now that the app is in the trash, we'll need to empty the trash to delete it. To do that, click the Finder menu and choose Empty Trash. Then, click Empty Trash to confirm. Remove an app, free up space. To learn more about your Mac, subscribe to the Apple Support YouTube channel or click another video to keep watching.
Short and sweet. Any comments?
It still leaves all the system stuff so that your machine may still have larger files than the original app left on there. At the clinic, we use a piece of software that's a freebie to remove applications, and it searches out and gets them. And it's called
App Cleaner.
App Cleaner. Yeah. There's two of them. There's App Delete, don't buy it. It's for sale. App Cleaner, and be sure you get it from the home website. And it works just beautifully. It removes all traces of the application.
I wound up buying App Cleaner and uninstaller, which Costs a few bucks, but it seems to get more than App Cleaner.
What was the name of it? I didn't hear.
App Cleaner and Uninstaller.
Oh,
But you have to buy that one.
You have to buy that one.
What company markets App Cleaner?
I don't know offhand.
Go to Google and search for App
Correct.
Cleaner Mac, and it's the first hit.
Or go to
Yes.
Mac Update. Go to Mac Update and put it in, and then you can link to the developer's site to download it.
Don't download it from the Mac Updater's site. You will
Right.
get adware in there.
Yeah, so don't ever download from their website.
Okay, well, let's move on to the next video. I'm sorry.
In this video, we'll explore.
I'm having some problem with my buttons today. Sorry about that.
Push the right buttons.
Yeah, this one is from Ellen, and I'm going to go back to
Full play.
okay, here we are.
Yeah.
Right. Come on.
Play.
Yeah. I have something in the way of the screen, not letting
Play
me.
button. And
Oh,
keep
there it
going
is.
there.
I got it now. Sorry about that. I had the leave meeting strip in front of the play button. Yes, at any rate, Ellen Sweeney has made this one on the use of assistive touch on the iPhone. And I think there might be some members of our group that could find some of these features valuable. And so I really think it's worth having a look. Here we go.
In this video, we'll explore Assistive Touch, covering the basics, including when and how to use it for seniors. It may be one of your iPhone and iPad's most valuable features. If we haven't met, I'm Ellen from Ellen's Tips for iOS, where I help seniors master their iPhones and iPads. If you find the video helpful, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Let's get started. You may be wondering, what is Assistive Touch? Assistive Touch adds a virtual floating button to your iPhone or iPad screen. And when turned on, it allows you to perform various functions seamlessly. So as you can see, I have this virtual button that I'm kind of highlighting with my cursor. If I click on it, you'll see that it darkens up and it opens. So this is the Assistive Touch button. You can drag the button anywhere you want on the edge of the screen. And if it is annoying you, you can dial back the opacity, which I'll show you shortly. But if I grab the button, I can drag it anywhere. But you'll notice if I try to put it in the middle of the screen, it won't allow me. But it'll allow me to drag it to anywhere on the outside of the home screen. I've turned off Assistive Touch on my device so that I can show you how to activate it. So to activate it, you're going to locate the Settings app. Once I locate the Settings app, I'm going to tap on Accessibility. Then I'm going to tap on Touch under Physical and Motor. Tap Assistive Touch at the top of the screen and toggle that switch on. Once you've toggled the switch on for Assistive Touch, now you can adjust some of the settings in here. And so the first thing we'll do is you'll see that the virtual button appears on the screen. And I can change that so that it is less viewable, so it'll be more translucent. If I come down to the bottom, when it's idle, I can turn the opacity up or down. So if I want it dark all the time, I can turn it up to 100% and I'll see it on my screen all the time. If I want it to be more translucent, I'm just going to toggle that or turn on that slider so I can turn it to 29% and you'll see that it's very translucent. You can barely see it. Tapping on the button opens the Assistive Touch menu. And right now it's in the default settings. So you'll be able to see that we have Siri there. We can set up a custom setting, notifications, device, control center, and home. If I just tap anywhere outside of the Assistive Touch menu, you'll see that the button will go back to on the screen, and then it becomes translucent again. There are 3 ways to quickly set up an action. You can use single tap, double tap, and long press. So we're still inside the Assistive Touch menu area. And as you can see, the single tap is set to open the menu, and that's the default action. I can go ahead and tap on double tap and choose whatever I want. So maybe you want a quick and easy way to restart your iPhone. So if I come down and I look for restart and tap that, and I'll come back. Now I've just set the double tap to restart. I can tap on long press and I can, choose any of these options. Let's just say I'm going to choose the app switcher. And then let's come all the way back to the home screen where you'll be able to see the virtual button. If I long press on it, you'll see it automatically comes into the app switcher. If I tap on it, it's going to open the default menu. If I double tap, it should ask me if I want to restart my phone. So it's a quick and easy way for you to set up some options that maybe you use all the time and use the virtual button. If you want to customize the top level menu, which is the menu you're seeing right now, there's an easy way to do that. Let's come back into the settings. Let's go to accessibility. Let's tap on touch and assistive touch and tap on customize top level menu. And now you have the options. Now you can only have 6 icons, but you can change them by tapping on them. So if I tap on home, if I want it to be something else, I can scroll through to see what I think would better fit me, and I could change that. So I could change that to a double tap if I wanted, or maybe I want to lock my screen, and I'll tap on done. And so now it'll say lock screen. I can tap on the control center and change that to whatever I want it to. Maybe I want it to be the camera, tap that. And once I've set this all up, if I decide at some point I've changed my mind and I want to go back to the default settings, it's very easy. Tap on reset, and now it'll take you back to the original default top level menu. We can also create custom gestures. So to give you an example, if you're using the Notes or the Pages app and you want to select text, you kind of have to push and hold and then drag your finger to select the text. Well, if for some reason you have a disability that it creates a harder time for you to do that, you can create a custom gesture that will help with that. So if I come into the Assistive Touch menu and I tap on Create New Gesture, you're going to do the gesture like you would if you were selecting text. So I'm going to push on the screen, and then I'm going to drag my finger, and I'm going to drag it down. And that's the gesture you would use to select text. Once it finishes, I'm going to tap on stop. And now I'm going to tap on save. And I'm going to give it a name, and I'll call it select text. Tap on save. And now let's go ahead and give this a try. So now I have a note opened and I want to select some text, but I want to use the custom gesture that I just created. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to double tap on a word where I want to start so that it selects a little bit of that text. I'm going to tap on the virtual button. I'm going to tap on custom and select text. Once I do, I just have to tap that area that I started, And now it'll drag automatically, and I'm not doing a thing, and it'll select the text for you. So this is an easy way for you to create a gesture that enables you to select text if you have a hard time doing it with your finger. If you find that you're not using assistive touch, I use it all the time because I use it with my mouse and it allows me to highlight things for you to see them. But if you're finding that you're not using assistive touch, you can get rid of it. You can use Siri to get rid of it. I can say, hey Siri, turn off assistive touch.
Okay, I turned assistive touch off.
So that's one way you can do it. The other way you can do it is come into the Settings app. Make sure that you're on the main settings page. Tap on accessibility, tap on touch, tap on assistive touch, and then go ahead and toggle that switch off. Assistive touch can be very helpful for seniors or anyone with a disability who has trouble touching the screen or manipulating the buttons. Let me know in the comments if you find a good use case for assistive touch. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.
Yeah. And really, I'd like to go back to comments right now. We can let Leo wait. Are there any comments on the assistive touch?
I find it great for getting the screenshots.
Uh-huh.
Thank you. I was going to say the same thing. I teach it in my classes, and it's for people who have really trouble like doing the double click for the screenshots and everything. It works really well for just a double tap on that. The problem is some people put it on and then it drives them nuts because invariably where they want to do like back or forward, they've got to move that out of the way sometimes to hit it. And some people find it just annoying because it's too dark and they have to show them the opacity. But the major complaint is always that it's in the spot that you want to use, but it's really easy just to slide it out of the way a little bit.
Or you can say, hey, you know what? Turn it off. I probably can say the same thing and turn it on.
Exactly. Exactly.
I used it before I had an iPhone and I had an iPod Touch and the home button broke. It didn't work. So you set that up on there's a virtual home button on your screen. That's how I got around that.
Yeah. I do a lot of screenshots. For me, it's just it's so much easier than doing that. And did I get it or did I actually shut off the screen or something? It just bing bing, and I find it very helpful.
Yeah. It can be a fast way to access the camera if there's a shot you want right away. There are other ways you can get to the camera pretty quick, but this one works. I hadn't used it. I went ahead and I set it up so that I have the button that I can move around on the screen. I lowered the opacity to where it just shows a little bit. And so I'm getting used to having it on the screen. And when it's in the way, I just move it slightly with my finger.
Exactly.
Very easy to do.
It's really easy. Like you said, it's really easy. If it's in the way, you just flick it and it's not, you can change the opacity so it's not annoying, but because it's your phone, you know it's there and you know what to look for. Yeah.
I have a follow-up on that. Wouldn't you be able to use a stylus in the same manner? And that'd be a little more precise instead of this thing just going on its own and deciding where to stop?
I don't understand.
Am I not speaking?
Are you talking about scanning
selecting text?
Selecting text. That was one possible use of the technology, but it can be used in so many other ways.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do other things.
Right. I think using a stylus is probably great for selecting text, but then we don't all have them.
Yeah, because the custom gesture she did, you don't know where, if you double tap it and move to the right and then down, you don't know where you're really going to want to stop. whereas a stylus or your finger would be better at that, I think, my opinion.
Well, if other people are having problems with fingers, maybe that's the answer, unless
Yeah,
yeah.
I think a stylus. I usually every quarter or whatever I go out and buy like 20 of those little tiny styluses.
Yeah.
I hand them out to the students here. You know.
I
Okay.
bought at the last Macworld, I bought this big rubber stylus that's really easy to hold.
Mm-hmm.
It's don't use it much, but it's really works well.
Yeah, they put them on the back of ballpoint pens now.
Hmm.
You know, I used to hand them out at the bar once in a while. People write stuff, then they just flick the end around and use the stylus part to use their phone and stuff.
Okay, well, let's move on. This is Leo Notenboom of Ask Leo, and he's going to show 8 ways that spammers can get your email address. It kind of it's one of those social engineering scam kinds of videos. So let's have a quick look.
8 ways that spammers get your email address. Hi, everyone. Leo Notenboom here for AskLeo.com. It's a common question. Here's one example. How do so many individuals on the internet get my email address and consistently send me junk mail? Spam, honestly, is the bane of email. It really is. I've heard numbers upwards of 80% of all email traveling around the internet is spam, and it may even be higher than that. The question, of course, is, well, great, I haven't done anything. Why am I getting spam? How did they get my email address? There are so many different ways. It's almost impossible to keep your email address out of the hands of spammers. Here are some thoughts about the different ways that spammers do get your email address. One of the most public, of course, is data breaches. When you think about it, we're always concerned about data breaches exposing things like passwords or credit card information. But what we don't remember is that almost every data breach includes email addresses. In which case, well, yeah, those get into the hands of the spammers almost immediately. Those are real accounts opened by real people. So spammers love knowing that here's a list of email addresses associated with whatever data breach may have happened. Now, the second one is a little less obvious, and that is simply that spammers can buy or rent lists from other spammers. Now, on one hand, in the it's not quite spam arena, marketers have been doing this for some time. Marketers are able to purchase email lists for them to send their marketing stuff to you. Now, you and I probably consider that spam, and that is one way that it happens. But of course, spammers themselves, ultimately, they're just marketers of a sort. They too will exchange, buy, sell, rent lists of email addresses that they know are legit, that they can then start to send their spam to. Website harvesting is something I've talked about before. Basically, anytime you post your email address in a place that can be viewed publicly, then spammers have been known to run scripts, run bots basically, that are scanning websites for anything that looks like an email address, and they start sending spam to that email address. Social media harvesting is kind of a subset of that, in that we often have our email address associated with our various social media accounts. In some cases, I've seen people even posting their email addresses directly on services like Twitter. Again, spammers are going to be looking at that for email addresses, anything that looks like an email address, and they're going to add it to their list to send spam to. Now, another one that I think a lot of people don't quite think of as often, but I do, and that's guessing. By guessing, I mean that they will take common email names and use those at various email services. For example, Leo. First name only is, in many cases, a relatively valuable email address in some circles. So if I had leo@gmail.com, well, I'd probably be getting spam there. Where do they find these? Well, from the other email addresses. I have leo@askleo.com, and sure, that's getting spam. But because Leo is a first name, spammers are trying all the first names that they can think of at all of the major email services. Same thing for common patterns. If you've ever gotten an email address at an organization or maybe for work, it's not uncommon for that email address to be of the form first initial, last name, or first name, last initial. Basically, some common constructs based on your name. Spammers know this too, and they will basically take your name, any of the names that they find out on the internet, make a few of those email addresses that that person may or may not actually have, and start sending spam to them. Another, of course, is phishing. We worry, of course, about phishing in the sense that if it's truly successful, you've handed over your credentials to a phisher and they can then start to log into whatever account they've been phishing you for. But if you think about it, part of those credentials is usually your email address. So even if you don't actually follow through, even if the phishers don't get access to your account, you've still handed over an email address that they can then turn around and start sending spam to. The last one I'm going to talk about isn't really as common as it once was, but it is very true, and that is simply malware. If you've got a keylogger installed, if you've got basically any kind of malware on your machine, one of the things that that malware could be looking for is email, specifically email addresses that it finds not only from what you type in, but from what others may be sending to you or what you may be sending to others. It could be collecting all sorts of email addresses simply from your machine. Honestly, that's another strong reason for making sure that your machine is as secure as possible and as malware-free as possible. There are probably, I'll say, a dozen other ways that spammers basically harvest and find, create, and guess email addresses. But the bottom line is they do. And you don't have to necessarily have done anything bad yourself, other than just having an email address. For updates, for comments, for links related to this topic and more, visit askleo.com/172035. I'm Leo Notenboom, and this is askleo.com. Thanks for watching.
Any comments on this one? Okay. I have one more short video. It's from the days of yesteryear, back when some of us were working on our Apple IIe computers, and out popped this new device in 1984. So this is a promotion by Apple, and it has for me, an unexpected visitor. Here we go.
Introducing Macintosh. It does all the things you'd expect a business computer to do. It does a lot of things you wouldn't expect a business computer to do. And it does some things no other business computer has ever done before. Of course, to do all this, you will have to learn to do this. Macintosh, the computer for the rest of us.
The development of Macintosh by Apple has been paralleled by the work of leading software developers.
It's a great machine. It's a step forward in terms of the way it uses graphics and the speed. And this is a machine that a lot of people are going to be able to afford. That's a very, very useful machine. I was enthused. Microsoft doesn't work with new hardware very often, but we put a team of people on it from the beginning, and we're planning that over half of our retail sales next year will come from Macintosh software.
At the back of Macintosh, You'll find two built-in ports for connecting a printer, a modem, or to Apple Bus, Apple's own local area network, as well as a dedicated port for an external disk drive. The Image Writer printer from Apple is specially designed for Macintosh. By plugging a modem into your Macintosh, you can communicate by telephone with electronic databases and news services. You can also emulate DEC VT100 and IBM 3278 terminals. You can expand the storage capacity of your Macintosh with an external disk drive, just like the one we built in. And if you work with lots of numbers, you'll appreciate the optional numeric keypad. And when you're ready to travel, Macintosh can easily go along. The durable carrying case is strong and waterproof. Your Macintosh, keyboard, mouse, manuals, and software all fit neatly inside. Even fully loaded, the carrying case is light enough to go anywhere you go.
The real genius of Macintosh, the world's newest personal computer, isn't its 32-bit microprocessor or its Lisa technology, or that it captures the power of a mainframe on a board 10 by 10 inches, or even that it costs half as much as computers half as powerful. The real genius of Macintosh is that you don't have to be a genius to use it. Macintosh, the computer for the rest of us.
Did I see a blue screen on that?
Love it.
Yeah. And Bill Gates looked so young.
He was so young. We
Yeah.
were all so young.
Yeah. Wow.
That was refreshing.
Anyhow, if there aren't any other comments, I suggest that if you want to see Gary's video on capturing any text from your screen, you can use the link that's provided. I do apologize. I don't know why advertising was imposing on it, but maybe we'll figure it out in the coming week. Anything else before I stop the share?
I got one comment about the previous video about the spammers.
Yes.
There's actually one thing you can do by not doing it is when you get spam, this obvious spam like Viagra or something, not from something that you get all the time, like from Amazon, something you do business with, but do not hit unsubscribe because that tells them that you read it and that you're a legitimate validated address, and then you will get more spam.
Very good. Thank you, Jeff.
I'd like to add one more too. That's excellent what John just said, but you can most systems nowadays have a report spam option.
Yes.
And you can use that and it'll automatically delete it and report it as spam. Or you can, what I did, and that's the long way, I will, and they change, I will pick out the email address and block it.
That doesn't really do it. If you, for Mac mail, Mac.com mail, if it shows up in your inbox, manually put it in the junk folder, and that reports it to Apple. With Google, you need to go read it on the web at Google and your Gmail on the web, and then you push the spam button there, and that reports it as spam. So that helps it to learn if a bunch of people getting the same thing and they report it spam, they'll block them.
Okay, well, I'm going to stop the share then, and we can continue with questions and answers. So thanks very much for your patience with me.
Go ahead, stop the share, and we'll go ahead and end the recording for people watching, DVMUG members watching this on YouTube. You can watch the next part of the meeting for general Q&A and social hour. The link will be on the DVMUG BBS. Okay, so we'll stop this one.